Welcome back again to Heavy Muscle Radio Live. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the boys, John Romano, Chris Aceto, Lee Priest. And we're live here on Sunday night, and we're going to be talking about a lot of controversial topics today, guys. Let's start with Sean Ray, because that seems to be, the topic that won't go away. Chris Aceto, you posted on your Instagram a pretty aggressive response to Sean's.
Hold on. I'm just getting ready for this topic. Carry on.
It was only aggressive. It wasn't aggressive. It was just truthful.
Yeah. You want to go into? Well, did you believe Sean's apology?
Did I?
Yeah.
No. You can pause it before you play it. I said right in one of my posts there. Sean did not make this apology by himself. He had no intentions of apologizing. Either Jake got behind him, the guy who pays him to MC the Olympia, or Jim Mannion, or both of them, or someone, or Dan Solomon, and said, you better go out there and, give some phony little mea culpa that, if someone, misunderstood my words, if I had said them, if they got jumbled, if I misspoke, or if I started to talk about a dead person too soon, which is always too soon, this, all this nonsense, Sean Ray, diarrhea of the mouth, no, he didn't make the apology. He went out there because he was told to.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And
it wasn't. And you know what? He dug his hole deeper because everyone who hated him just saw the phoniness of which, how actually double phony he is. Play it. Can you play with the audio here?
The most insincere apology of all time.
Let's see if I can get this thing to play.
So, listen.
Just look at him.
Demonstrated to me that he had any type of recreational drug issue or drug habit. We were not talking about recreational drugs. Continues going and going and going until the wheels fall off. And I've known several bodybuilders that Vince Comerford died in the gym, right? He was no longer bodybuilding. He was a former addict, and I know Sean had some drug issues as well. So when you start looking into someone's past, it's almost like building a wall. You take these little bricks and you build them all up, all these little episodes, and then you have this big, complete wall that you can't get through. And for Sean, I think the last brick was even the thought of trying to make a comeback in professional bodybuilding. And about the drugs in bodybuilding, I misspoke.
So, yeah. Look, you can't, I think Sean's problem is he's got a lot of jealousy issues with a lot of people, and he can't even keep it in. He can't hide it,
He wears it on both sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad.
Well, what's going to happen? Is Sean is he going to remain, you think, in place with working for the Olympia, or do you think they'll?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Of course, they're so far.
This is the second time though, Chris, that there was a problem with him. So do you think that
because Jake doesn't want to hear people like me with big mouths on radio shows like this saying he should be fired. That's why it puts some people. That's why
Jake put him on. He had him on that video, remember the last time, and really kind of went all out. So I don't think Jake cares. I think Jake cares about doing the right thing. I don't think he cares about.
Well, we're going to come to that too. There's more Jake stuff to spill today.
Sean Ray is the Chris Cuomo of bodybuilding.
It was funny when I was looking at that video, the one that we did, Dave, popped up where it had Sean Ray sitting by the pool and somebody on live asked about me. He goes, well, I feel sorry for Lee. He has a big drug problem. He's living on the streets. He's got no money. He's this, he's that. He's like, oh. He said that about me 2 years ago. That I
Is that when you showed us the dumpster that you lived in?
Yeah, I was laughing my head off listening to him. I just feel sorry for Lee. He's having to sell all of his possessions to pay for his drug habit and this and that. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I think you have a nicer car than he does. That's for sure.
Well, if anyone, I'm not as lucky as Sean. I didn't have my mother to get my drugs cheap, did I? I had to actually go to someone on the street and buy them. It wasn't like my mum was cutting the Coke for me going, here you go, son, have some Coke. I had to actually pay for them. We all weren't as lucky as Sean.
What's that green stuff you're drinking?
just like crystal light type lime stuff.
Toxic waste.
Yeah, it looks like
the water from the tap. But as I was saying before we come on, someone sent me photos from his show in Hawaii. I'll find them. And it's a good thing the judges were down front because there's nobody else in the audience all the way down. There's a few off to the side, but I saw competitors walking over there because it was live on YouTube. So I think that might have been the competitors' friends and family. But as far as audience went, what's his name? Kyle from the case could have shot his whatever his machine gun was and hit nobody there. It wouldn't have.
Terrible analogy, Lee.
It is. Well, he might have hit Sean. That might have been it. That might have been the only. And
are you implying that
if
no
he hit
one
him, he would have got. You'd get off.
You can't miss that target.
Are you implying that people didn't go to the show because they're angry at what Sean did, or do you think that it was just a?
Well, I've seen, not that I've seen before, but like normally when he has that show, he posts pictures or people do, and it looks like he's had a good crowd, but it was like empty. I mean, unless I don't know, is COVID bad in Hawaii at the moment? But there seemed like you would have had some people there, but. Well, I'll find the pictures and I'll send them to you later. You have a look and you tell me what you think. I think he's just burned his bridge too many times. And, we've been saying it for years. I've been saying it for years how Sean really is. As a bodybuilder, he was great, but as a human being, he's a piece of garbage. And I think that last video he did, people actually saw his true colours now. And they actually thought, hey, there is something behind what all these people have been saying after all these years.
Yeah, I mean... It would seem that could potentially be, the case, if no one went to the show. I mean, I would have to imagine.
But as Chris says, when's enough going to be enough for the IFBB or the people that run this show to say, hey, Sean, we're going to let you go. They've let other people go for less. So what is it that they keep Sean on for?
Yeah, why do you? Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, Chris. Why wouldn't they get rid of him?
That's a question for them to answer.
Well, what do you think? Speculate.
No, I won't speculate, Dave.
Stuff.
I'm very good at speculating. But you know what? The fact of the matter is speculating is not facts. So they are the ones who, Dan Solomon, I posted somewhere. I said, Dan always says this sport is about the fans. It's about the fans, the fans, the fans. You can go to anywhere where Sean has posted something or anything surrounding this controversy, and you'll have 99.9% of the people say, who are fans, whether they attend shows or not, they're, quote, fans, Sean's an idiot or Sean's got to go. So for Dan Solomon to be not tone deaf, but just deaf and hiding, and to pretend that he doesn't see that is either disingenuous or nutty.
I think Dan wants to do something, to be honest with you. I do.
Well, I mean, that's speculation too. How do you know that?
Well, I spoke to him, but he didn't really say, he didn't tell me anything on the record, but he knows what the consensus is among, the fans and the people that, the bodybuilders.
I don't think they listened to the fans though. If they did 2 years ago, they would have had Sean Roden back competing because all the fans wanted Sean back on stage and they paid no attention to that.
Yeah, but that's a different story.
But they still could have brought him back. They could have brought him back. They had no reason to keep him out. They could have brought him back on. It'd gone on long enough. He was still innocent, and I believe he was innocent. So they had no proof he should have been back on stage. If fans wanted him. The fans want Sean gone, and they keep him around.
Yeah.
Well, Sean is in terms of their optics an asset because he's got good ability to speak. He's good in front of a camera. He's got a great knowledge of the sport. He speaks well.
So is Lonnie Tepper.
And Lonnie Tepper is freaking awesome, but there's only there's only so much there is of work to go around. So
John, that's like saying
I'm not saying no. Before you, I know exactly what you're going to say, but and you're right. That's not the reason. There's plenty of other prospects out there. I think sometimes. Things have gone along and it's just kind of like, well, it's always been Sean, or it's always been Bob, or it's always been whomever. And we get kind of used to it and complacent with it. And it takes a real, earth-shattering event to wake people up and shake up the apple cart enough to make a change. And I think we're here with Sean. I think we are here. I mean, we're all like grown up now. We're all mature adults. We're heading into old age. Some of us, we are the flag bearers right now. There's no generation older than us that's carrying the water.
Right.
You know, it's us. Okay, so we are the upper echelon of what the bodybuilding pundit lineup is. It's all us. He's part of us, and he hasn't risen to the occasion. You know, he hasn't molded into like the elder statesman, you know, role that he should be pursuing because, you know, he's got that clout, but he's squandering it on.
Well, I'm gonna give Sean Ray a call and give him some tips, because if anyone can get kicked out of the IFBB faster than me, I can give him some ideas. Okay.
The fact
Trust me, John. If they want to get rid of you, they can get rid of you.
Yeah, right. They don't need an excuse, right? Exactly.
They don't even need to just climb right into your website and kick you out. They can.
Yeah.
But
so,
by
Chris,
the way,
you're right.
Sergio Oliva Jr. texted me the other day. He's like, "Does Lee Priest need money? I got some kind of request from PayPal that he was looking for."
Oh
money.
no, my account on
hacked.
Instagram got hacked,
Yeah.
so I had to start another one. And then the people sent me a message saying, "For $300, you can have your account back." I'm like, "No, shove it up your ass." They're like, "You don't want your account back." I said, "No, I'll just start another one." So I've started another Instagram account.
So this is your third one?
Yeah. I'm up to 3,000 followers again.
Yeah, he generates. You know how like sometimes when you have to redo, like, you know, people send out like constant contact or you know, like email lists, like, you know, mass emailings, and you have to do a lot of times they'll make you start over and send requests to people so that people could opt into the emails. And you're like, oh no, I have like, you know, 100,000 people on the list, and now I got to do it over and start over. And you never get back.
I don't do any of that. I don't send anything out. I just let people find me if they want to follow me.
No, what I'm saying is, Lee, you start a new account, and in 2 months you're back to what you were. It's amazing, you know,
because everybody wants to know what Lee is doing.
They all opt into.
If my account got hacked, it would take me 3 years to get.
I'd never get back. I'd probably never get back.
2,000 of my followers.
I was sort of upset because in like 2 months I was back to 53,000. Now I'm back at 3,000 again.
Why does that keep happening?
I don't know. I got
How
I think one of my friends' account got hacked, and he sent me a thing, and I undid it. I wasn't going to undo it, but I just undid it. I didn't click on anything. I just undid the thing, and it was only like a couple of hours after that I went to log in, and I was locked out. I'm like,
Lee, I thought you can get it back. Can't you get it back by contacting Instagram or something like that? Somebody told me that.
I sent them
try to
messages,
find a
but they
contact
never replied to me.
information for Instagram. It's almost impossible to find anyone.
Yeah,
any human being. Right.
I actually would go through Facebook, so I was sending my Instagram screenshots to Facebook because Facebook owns Instagram. So I figured I'll bug them. But then
he thinks he's going to hit Mark Zuckerberg. He's going to get to Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, I can't do that now because we just had these protesters sitting on the train lines last week and putting cars on the train line. So I posted on Facebook, if you're going to play stupid games, you win a stupid prize, run them over. Banned for 30 days.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because I said run them over for sitting on the train line. That was, I got a thing. You are instigating violence.
Wow. Well, you are.
So now I can't post on Facebook.
Is that the real Regan Grimes that posted here? It said that everyone's getting hacked. I don't know if that's the real one or not.
It could be. Well, I know a few did.
Wait, find out information on a certain company. Ooh, I like that intrigue. What company could that be?
I don't know.
I was just watching Regan Grimes with Dennis James saying how he had to escape Kuwait or wherever he was.
Oh, yeah, what I wanted to ask Chris about that too. Chris, you kind of knew because you were working with Regan after that, right? After he went out to the Camel Crew?
Before and after.
Yeah. I think they had him at 300 pounds, didn't they, in like 2 weeks or something like that? They had him up to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was 300 pounds, but he was, you know, before Regan had that.
Just tell by the way Chris said, yeah, that you know it's what a mess that was.
Regan was 220 left to go there. That's why.
No, he said he was 260 when he left. He said he was 260 when he went. Then they just kept bringing food to his room and food all around the bed, and then his wife went over for 2 weeks, but after 3 days, she got out there. He said she didn't like being there because she couldn't do anything. And then when he said he wanted to go home for Christmas, they were trying to discourage him and didn't want him to leave or something, like he was almost held captive.
They knew he wasn't going to come back. That's why. It was smart, right?
Well, I mean, he could have. You don't have to force things, right? I mean, you don't and you shouldn't.
Good point.
Yeah. But then he came back in the direction. Then you
well, that's how
the classic physique. Right?
Maybe that's how frightened he got.
What did he have to weigh for classic physique, Chris? 220?
228, 227.
So he was 300 when he got back from Kuwait, and then he went down.
but he got there at 260, and his contest weight that year was probably 241.
Yeah. I don't know how you got another 220, Chris. I really don't. Crazy. And he actually qualified for the Olympia. Won a show and qualified. Was at the Olympia in Classic. I don't think people remember that, Chris.
Well, people don't remember. People have a memory due to the internet of like 20 minutes. They don't remember that he was, second in a pro show, fifth, second, and fifth, or fourth, second, and fifth in his first year.
That first 30 pounds came off pretty fast, though, didn't it?
Well, because the difference between 260 and 300 is like 2 pounds of muscle, the rest fat and water.
Right. So he must have lost, like I'm saying, the bulk of that he lost pretty quickly, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it was water. So.
Well, he retains water anyway,
Yeah.
That's what I was like.
I was just thinking back to when I was 285 and I'd start dieting and drop about 20 pounds of water in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you were fat. I bet you Regan came back. He wasn't fat. He was just right.
I had calipers done, Dave, and I'd have you know when I was 285, the calipers said I was 18.5% body fat.
That's fat, man. That's fat for you, especially
40 pounds of fat.
Yeah,
on his body.
Fluid, thank you very much. Fluid.
All right. Sean needs to come over to Canada, Regan says. Love to welcome him here. Mental midget. I think it might be Regan.
No, somebody said Regan has a profile picture on his page. Somebody posted.
It probably isn't. I don't know what's wrong with that. Why anyone would want to impersonate anyone else, I have no idea, but people think it's cool.
Because they have no life, Dave.
My pre-workout is coming out next month. For those who wanted to ask. Okay, all right. Let's talk about.
Speaking of that, Dave, while I got you here, I'm down to this much of Fiberlize, and I don't want to have to go back to Metamucil.
You better remind me on Monday. Tomorrow. Oh, it is Monday for you. Remind me on your Tuesday.
Okay, Dave.
I'll send you more. All right, let's talk about the Aaron Singerman, PJ Braun, I guess, plea bargain. For those who don't really know what was going on, they were indicted. What was it, like 4 years ago, John?
Yeah, three or four. Yeah,
and they were facing a lot of charges, from fraud to selling controlled substances to
money laundering.
The government, when the government gets you, when the feds come and get you, they put every charge in the book in there, and so but I think a lot of people forgot. They forgot that these guys were actually still fighting a case, because it was delayed so much. And it wasn't delayed. I mean, it wasn't gotten rid of. It was just the fact that because of COVID, and then there was delays, and they were ready to go to trial Monday. Well, today, I guess, technically. I don't know if it's Monday yet, but
they still are going to trial because 2 other co-defendants didn't plead.
Right. Oh, yeah. I think Blackstone plea is taking a plea now, too, though.
But I guess one other one is still, or he may,
That's you, Lee. You're killing your mic with your little kitty cat.
That's my cat. That's my cat.
I know.
Killing me.
You're crinkling your microphone. You're giving us a static headache.
Yeah.
So I actually have the plea agreements here. I have an inside source. I'm not putting them up online, but I got the plea agreements that they both signed. And, John, you and I talked about this. No one beats the feds, okay? They don't go to indict you unless they got a case that they know they could win. So I don't know what the strategy was from the get-go. I think, from talking to them, they thought, from what they told me, they thought they were going to win this case. I don't know how they thought they were going to win it, but as especially because it was a paper
Well, I can
trail.
tell you that. That's easy because
It was a paper trail a mile long, though. How did they think they were going to beat it?
Jared Wheat was paying PJ's legal bills. And
Tell them who Jared is.
Jared Wheat is the only person on the face of the planet who's ever beaten the feds in court. Right. So, he's cocky. He thinks he's going to beat him again. I can't blame him. He put on a great, amazing case, and he beat the feds. And he did it. He's got a ton of money, and he was able to do it. And I'm sure that he thought he could do it again. And he paid, what was it, $4.6 million in legal fees?
That's what PJ told me. Yeah. So
PJ?
Jared owns most of Blackstone. PJ kind of works for him now, and has a small minority of ownership. And Jared makes all the products for them. And I know at one point Jared was making Aaron's products too, but I don't know if he still is. And so Jared was putting up the money for the legal defense, I guess.
Which is kind of the stinger in the whole thing, because that money was spent under the assumption that this case we're going to trial.
Right.
We're going to fight it in court. Okay. Mm-hmm. If there was going to be a plea bargain that anybody was going to pounce on, it would have been nice to know that $4.3 million ago.
Well, yeah, they could have plea bargained it 4 years ago, and they probably would have saved a ton of money, and they probably would have gotten a smaller sentence. Now, we don't know what the sentence. They're getting sentenced in end of January. That's what the sentence is. It is Law 101 when it comes to the feds. Take the deal. Right. They're going to give you a deal. It's going to be better than you're going to get when you lose. Take the deal. Yeah. There may be 1 or 2, 3 versions of the deal. They may get better as time goes on, but they do not want to go to trial and spend the money and the time tying up the courts in your fucking case. They want you out of there. Yeah. So make a deal. Take the deal. If you're not going to take the deal, don't take the deal. Don't take the deal at the last minute, because this is nuts. And it doesn't bode well for you, because it pisses them off more. Right. If you drag this out and we're going to go to trial, no, we're not going to go to trial. So, John, there was 1 million pages of discovery in this trial.
But see, what people don't understand is PJ's, whatever it was, 4.6, 4.3, 4.2 was what Jared spent. The feds spent money too. That's what they're pissed about,
And time. Imagine those legal guys that had to go through that 1 million pages.
Pages of discovery.
And I don't want to see PJ and Aaron at IFBB shows until this is finally gone to trial.
Now, what happened was, according to this plea agreement, I guess PJ was intending to go to court, trial starting Monday, and Aaron went at the last minute, I guess, without telling him, and made a deal. Now, Aaron has 3 kids.
And a wife.
I don't know why he waited this long to do it, but it doesn't surprise me that he would go in and try to get a deal. Now, the problem is that by him cooperating, it kind of screws PJ in a sense. So PJ is going to get a longer sentence than Aaron's going to get now.
And he had to wear a wire. He had to wear a wire for 3 years.
Well, it goes deeper than that. If they had maintained their focus on their own case, this confidential informant capacity would not now relate to other cases being adjudicated. So there's other people now who have cases open that have mentioned the names PJ Braun and Aaron Singerman, who now, by virtue of their deal, have to extend outside of their own case and testify against people in another case that they would never have had to go near had they just been worried about their case.
Right. Now, the government dismissed counts 1, 2, 5, 9, 10, and 11, the money laundering, some of the stuff, and they basically accepted responsibility for distributing a controlled substance and introducing a not-approved, medication into the
not-approved drug into commerce.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny, Dave, that Jake and Dan kept Sean Roden out of the Olympia, and he was indicted by the state of Utah? That was a business decision that they made. They wanted to keep him out for nothing more than a business decision.
Right.
But they accepted Redcon's money,
And
they were indicted by the United States of America's government. And they were indicted, and those guys pleaded guilty, and Blackstone.
Yeah.
And that was a business decision.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Irony of the timing.
Yep.
Yes.
The irony of the timing of all of it.
Really.
Right.
It's just, you can't make it up.
You're right.
It makes everything work. It just makes everything
worse.
Yep.
I know. I watched Judge Judy.
What you're saying is it's arbitrary, Chris, is what it is, right?
No, all I'm saying is both of those decisions were
they made an arbitrary decision. There's really no logic, is what you're saying, right?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying those were both business decisions. You can say what you want about what I said, but those were decisions based on business to keep Sean Roden out of the Olympia, who was indicted and pleaded not guilty, and allowing Redcon into the Olympia. And they were indicted by not the state of Utah, but by the federal government.
Redcon wasn't. Aaron was, and Blackstone and PJ. So they accepted
Even worse. Even worse.
Accepted Aaron's money, though, is what you're saying.
Wasn't Redcon one of the major sponsors at the Olympia, or one of those big shows, the Arnold? Weren't they? Arnold, weren't they? One of them.
The Arnold last year, but remember Aaron pulled his money this year because he didn't like Arnold's stance.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but the year before he was the major sponsor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it kind of is ironic when you think of it from that perspective. Now the question is, what are they going to be sentenced to? Now, I heard a number thrown out, 5 years to Aaron. No, that's just coming from hearsay.
Not the plea agreement.
They're facing, what are they facing, like 12 or something like that?
13.
Old Sparky. Give him Sparky.
How the judge is going to determine what the sentence is based on what what the prosecutor was going to recommend. He's going to recommend, I think, 5 for Aaron. PJ is going to get more because PJ, number one, has a former offense, and he's going to get time off for accepting responsibility, but he's not going to get the cooperation reduction in his sentencing.
And he was last to the courtroom steps. So
that's what I mean. Aaron is getting a reduction in sentencing in the guidelines, because what they do is they make a number. They basically figure out.
No, what they do is that the probation department has to do a pre-sentence investigation. On them. The pre-sentence report is presented to the judge, along with the recommendations of the prosecution and the defense, and the judge weighs those recommendations out and decides what to do. Usually the judge goes along with what the PSI says.
Right, but there's also, they figure out there's a number associated with the crimes that you have, and they are at a 26. And at a level 26, you're subject to up to, like you said, 13 years in prison. That's the max. Aaron has no priors. He's got a family. He accepted responsibility. He cooperated. When you cooperate against
the family.
Yeah, when you cooperate against another witness, that drops you in those guidelines. So,
are you saying the more he rolls on PJ, the more he sends?
You got it. That's it.
And others, other cases out there. So, what
a nice guy.
Aaron, with that cooperation with those redacted, entries into that plea agreement, that are missing from PJ's but present in Aaron's, those determining factors right there are what's going to make his sentence far shorter than PJ's.
Yeah. Now, this is not necessarily something Aaron has to do, but he is required, if requested by the government at point C here, he could actually have to work undercover for them if they ask him to.
Where's he going to work undercover?
I know. Everyone knows who he is. It's ridiculous. But when you cooperate with them, you accept responsibility for that.
Look, come on.
He's going to put a mustache on like Magnum PI.
With that voice. No one will recognize it.
Look,
and a Redcon t-shirt.
This is textbook. Okay, yeah. This is textbook. You in the beginning, things look great. The attorneys tell you all kinds of great stuff. We're going to beat this. And then gradually reality starts to creep up, and then he's looking at, oh my God, I'm going to do fucking 10 years. I have 3 kids. My wife's going to leave me. And then the toughest guys fucking cave under that.
He didn't have a choice with the family, really. I mean, I don't
He
think
didn't. No, he didn't. He did not.
You
And
know what?
John's point is well taken, but the family part, outside of the family part, it's textbook. That's exactly how it works. You know, you just described exactly. You could. There's no variable in there that's not 100%.
They should have gone right in. I think, and from the people I've talked to behind the scenes, they should have gone right in when they got indicted. They should have said, "You got us. We screwed up." They love when you admit that you screwed up and that you're willing to work with them. All right, what can we do? Make us a deal. Let's square this up. Let's just end this. We learn our lesson.
You get lawyers in the room and say, "Let's make it go away." How do we make it go away? And they can't go away. Say, "Well, what's the best scenario?"
It wasn't going away, but I guarantee they would have gotten a lot less time. Now, we don't even know what they're going to be sentenced to. I think that even if Aaron got 5 years, you do 85% right in the Fed, so that's going to bring him down to what, about 4, John? 4. And then he's going to go in the drug program because everyone's got a drug problem, so that'll knock another year down. So he'll probably do under 3, around 3 if he gets 5 years.
But he's got to get what, almost $3 million back?
PJ has to pay $3 million. Aaron has to pay 2.9. Now that's part of the deal.
Right.
The judge can still hit them with a fine when he sentences them. So, I mean, it could be even more than that.
And this judge happens to be a cantankerous old man who has known for departing upwards of the guidelines.
Yes.
So this is not the judge I would want to be sentenced by.
No.
His wife's gone. He's coming home to an empty house if he's got a house. I'll save him a bin. A dumpster by mine out here in Australia if he wants to come over, because I'm sure once Sean Ray does his review on this, he's going to be a recreational drug user like me and living on the streets. So we can maybe start up a company off the streets together, Aaron and I.
Now, there's also a distinction. Taking a plea deal doesn't mean you have to be a cooperating witness. Like PJ is taking a plea deal, but he's not a cooperating witness.
Correct.
When I went to trial, when I had my whole case, I didn't cooperate. I just said, all right, Rick Collins worked the deal. I said, I'm guilty. I messed up. Sorry. Yeah. All right. What can I do? So there's a difference.
Get to the point of they are guilty of what?
They're guilty
of layman's terms.
They're guilty of a controlled substance, selling a controlled substance because they were
pro hormones.
They were changing labels, of ingredients that were coming in. They forged some documents to import stuff. They had their own lab. They were making stuff, and then I guess the other one was introducing a non-approved, like there's something called déchet compliance. In other words, if you can't find an ingredient in the food, in the natural, nature out there, and you introduce it as a supplement, okay, but yet it's really a drug, then you're sneaking it in, in a sense.
That's terrible. I stand by my statement. Lethal injection.
Wind up Sparky. Yeah.
The thing that when you look at the case from a distant perspective, maybe you don't see it, but Aaron, like I said, has 3 kids. 3 years is a long time to be away from your kids when they're growing up. Now, if you don't have kids, you don't understand that. But it's a reality, So you got. I feel bad, for him in that sense,
I don't. PJ seems like the old mafia type to me. The mafia in the old days, they had family, but they went to jail. They didn't rat. Aaron's the new age mafia. I'm going to jail. Shit, I'll tell you everything you want to know. What do you want to know? I'll tell you. What's it mean? I'll fucking tell you.
Unfortunately, that's probably pretty much how it went. But the other thing is that I can't stress enough the severity of the fact that there's other cases, at least one that I know of, out there that's significant. Okay, and it mentions these two, and it, depending on what Aaron does, could also further implicate PJ, possibly.
Now,
that's a whole nother case, John.
Yes,
and you know what?
I mean, is it public? Not. I mean, what's it?
Yeah, it's on. I don't want to.
What is it? Well, say it. I mean, I thought the show was The Truth Hurts, or it's kind of hurt.
The guy. I don't. The guy's name is Shemtoob, something like that, and it's a case United States against Shemtoob, and Aaron and PJ are named in the case.
And what was the infraction?
This isn't about that ShamWow, is it? It doesn't soak up all the water. Did they make the ShamWow?
That's a chamois.
This is bullshit. Yeah. If this isn't soaking up water, I'm gonna do a class action lawsuit.
ShamWow. No, it's controlled substance. Selling controlled substance.
A lot of John.
So if Aaron knows he's going for that one, can Aaron get the jump on? Can Aaron get the jump on this other case then and turn on them as well, so he doesn't get a double whammy?
Well, that's
the more he cooperates, the lower his sentence will be.
That's the point I'm trying to make. His agreement to cooperate is not limited to his case.
Right.
They can call him in and ask him to work undercover in a car, theft ring. I mean, they can do whatever they want with him, but with respect to our industry, there's at least one other case open, and there's other implications if it goes that way. But Aaron has agreed to, and unfortunately by default, PJ as well have agreed to cooperate. But except
actually, the more he cooperates, the better it is for him, really, because this is a great help.
Ostensibly, Aaron could do no time. He could. They could have enough work for him to do, undercover, that it would be inconvenient for him to be in prison if they needed him on the outside.
Right.
So
if I'm Aaron Singerman, I'm going to let you know now. I'm going to have someone start my Rolls Royce for me in the morning before I go sit in that car.
That's a good point, though, Lee. If this could have been the severity of this could have been mitigated, as you started to say, Dave, in the very, very early stages of this, their attorneys should have, instead of smelling money and blood, their attorneys should have said, wow, let's make this as light as possible. You now have a burgeoning business, a giant, company. You're doing $12 million a month, selling supplements. You can make foundations, give to charity. There's all kinds of positive things you can do if you channel yourself that way and make hay out of this situation right now. 4 years ago, yes, we are guilty. Let's make a deal. Let's do something. How do we make this go away? Let this company and this CEO prosper and do good for the community. But I keep thinking back to that Olympia with the mural of PJ and Aaron on the hotel, 800 feet high, thinking they thought they could.
The writing was on the wall.
They thought they could win.
Here's the thing I wanted to say.
Up there thought they could win.
This is the thing. A lot of people ask me, when they were selling pro hormones back then, there were other people. They're not the only ones.
No.
And everyone said, how are they getting away with it? And, the answer to that is that the feds don't have unlimited resources to go after everyone. So they go after the big wigs. They wait and they build cases. And the same thing with peptide companies. Everyone thinks selling peptides online is legal. It's not legal. You're selling illegal drugs. But they're not approved.
They have 10 years.
That's why people always said they want to get me involved. Let's do peptides. They said, I will be arrested in 30 minutes after I start selling them.
And they have 10 years of statute of limitations on these cases. So they're going to get some guy out of the academy. Okay, here's this case. It's been gone over 12 times by 7 other dicks. Now you take a look at it, and he's going to methodically go through and forensically check. And if he finds a rabbit hole, he's going. And he's got all the time. He's got 10 fucking years and every penny he could ever dream of spending on the case. And that's what they do.
And nowadays, John, with emails, when they went in 2 years before these guys were indicted, they went in and took their computers. They raided Blackstone.
They've had info on them for months and months and months
prior to that.
I was in prison with a guy who got nailed on a drug charge 9 years and almost 10 months into the 10-year statute of limitations. He thought he was free and clear. He was living in Arizona, fixing his house up. He's mowing his lawn. Next thing you know, the feds pull up and take him away. And he's got to do for 7 years,
Wow. So the message we're trying to deliver here is if you're doing something that's not legal, even though you're making a lot of money, stop doing it because you will. It's only a matter of time. You will get caught.
And even if you do stop, you could be fucked. I mean,
yes,
you
retroactively
stopped doesn't mean that they're going to stop.
There was a peptide company that was very popular and they were making a ton of money. I knew a lot of people who were going there and buying stuff from them, and they were advertising all over the place, which was kind of crazy when you think about it, advertising in a legal business. But they somehow convinced themselves that it was legal. And I got contacted, but they wanted stuff from our message boards years ago, like the Post and stuff like that. This company got busted. I mean,
remember Richard Rodriguez with Iron Addicts and that whole
well, those guys were selling anabolic steroids. I mean, that was
online. They had a website.
Yeah, those were the dumbest guys of all time.
There was no.
Well,
you couldn't have been more out in the open.
What about what's his name right now? It's on the internet. The guy from Canada, the 212 guy, 32 million in drugs and all that.
Oh yeah, Zane Watson. Oh my God, did you see that story, John?
32 million.
In marijuana paraphernalia, right?
No. The list of drugs and other drugs. I think they had cocaine and stuff.
His mother was indicted with him too.
It's got a list there. It's got a list of ordered. Yeah, he competes in the 212, doesn't he? From Canada.
Yes, Chris used to work.
Wait, you see that list.
Chris Cruz.
Yeah. Sean will do no degrees of separation and send the feds to my house.
The kingpin. It's all making sense.
Yeah.
And Sean, don't worry, Sean. I don't live in a garbage whatever chute.
Garbage bin.
There it is. Garbage bin.
What is in that heater on the wall behind you there, Chris? What is in that?
Full of cocaine.
Yeah,
21 people were arrested. 32 million in unlawful hashish and its derivatives. 16-month lengthy investigation on him.
Wow. So a bodybuilder got popped for something other than steroids finally.
Oh, yeah. There's some in there. I think there was cocaine in there too, wasn't there? And weapons and.
You know what the funny thing was? There was cocaine and there was other pills and stuff like that, but it was such a small amount compared to the marijuana paraphernalia that I don't even think they didn't even mention it. Like as part of
paraphernalia is illegal since when?
Because it was illegal growing equipment.
Growing equipment. I think meant like pipes and bongs. And
no.
You can't do hydroponics, John. Hydroponics isn't allowed.
All right. Okay. All right. 32 million.
You remember Billy the Bread Man from P? What was it? P? What was that name of the company?
Billy the Bread Man. That's a good name.
Bagels.
Oh yeah. What was his name?
Billy the Bread Man. Billy Bread Man.
Yeah.
Billy Sullivan.
Billy Sullivan.
Nice guy. He was selling so much marijuana upstate New York, and you know how he got caught? He got in a fight with his girlfriend. He threw her in the trunk of the car and kidnapped her, and then she told him, And how dumb do you have to be if you sell an illegal drug?
Obviously he was a fan. Obviously he was a fan of Craig Titus.
She was alive though, Lee.
Yeah.
He just didn't have enough time.
Maybe not for long.
Thank God he didn't have enough time. There's a lot of crazy people in our industry, but the sad part was that, obviously Aaron, is a good enough, and PJ are both good enough businessmen to make money legitimately. They didn't really have to do it that way. And I think they took a shortcut because they wanted to make the money too fast. And isn't that really what happens to everyone? They get greedy, right?
It's a struggle.
And then if you're doing it, yeah. I've had so many friends here that I've known who have done it the wrong way, and they've got to the point where they could own their home, cars, and just be comfortable. But I'll know that greed sets in, and they push it more and push it more. Next thing, clink. It's like you should have stopped.
I mean, Aaron is turned Redcon into like one of the most successful companies, and
Do you think 100% would this affect Redcon? You think?
I don't think Aaron has his name on anything with Redcon, but I think that
he hasn't been running it either, has he?
No, well, I mean, I don't. He's got a lot of people in there. He's got a lot of
Eric from BSN.
Yeah. Yeah, but the point is that he obviously directed people in the right direction. But look, Aaron's a risk taker, and that's why if you want to make a lot of money, you have to be willing to take a lot of risks.
Well, then let's put some predictions out there. Let's predict. Will Redcon? Let's assume. Let's say if Aaron gets 5 years,
right? Will
Redcon survive?
Yes, because I don't think he's really doing that much right now. Anyway, it's kind of running itself. Now, will people steal from him? I don't know. That's the question. But he's got a pretty good crew in there running it right now, and they're all making a good salary. So I would want
you think you have a good crew until something happens.
That's true.
Then you're not. But legally, but you can't run an enterprise from. You can't run a business.
No, if he gets caught trying to run anything, him and PJ, they'll be in big doo-doo, right?
They'll be done, extra done.
And people don't realize when you make those phone calls from the payphones there, they record everything. They record it, and they listen too. I don't even know how they do it, but they listen to everything. You would have heard my phone calls from John. They were the most boring phone calls of all time. Mine were pretty boring too.
Did you speak in code?
No, my father and I were discussing books I was reading. It was probably the most boring shit they've heard of all time.
All right, so next prediction. Next prediction. Will the optics of this bode badly for Redcon?
You would think so, right? But these companies that he deals with, whether he sells to Walmart or whatever, they put their head in the sand. I don't think it's going to hurt him. I don't. He got his name off everything, so they'll just say, "Oh well, he's not associated with the company anymore." That's how they'll rationalize it. These other people.
Well, Redcon's clean. Redcon's squeaky clean. That had zero to do with it.
Right.
Someone just posted on here that we won't admit it, Dave Lee and John, but Redcon slings a juice lab behind the scenes.
that would be the dumbest thing about it.
You know what? I love our fans. I just love them.
and of course, the fan who put it up was named Victor Martinez, which it really wasn't.
Of course.
I know. Victor, stop talking like that.
All right, here, John, we've gone through the case. You've been in the federal system. I have. Lee hasn't yet. We're trying to get him.
We're holding out hope for him.
I've got good mules.
Hey Lee, if Aaron offers to pay you to do the time for him, will you do it? What will you charge him?
Yeah, what's he gonna? If he pays me good money, yeah, why not? As club fed, I can go walking around the grounds and some push-ups and eat.
I don't know. If he gets 5 years, he's not going to the club right off the bat.
I think he will, won't he, John?
No, you got to get short to go to the club.
But there's no, because he has the non-violent defense. Non-violent.
It depends.
As long as there's no guns or anything, that it's non-violent. He's going to go to.
Think so? For that long?
Yeah.
I probably got fans in there. I can take classes and get people training and.
You'd love it in there, Lee.
You'd thrive in there.
Lee would come out like with 20 pounds of muscle on him, training naturally.
Yeah. I might not want to come out. I might want to stay.
Honey buns.
I might just stay there.
Yeah,
that might be my new home.
What do you think? What do you think the sentences are going to be? If you had to predict, John.
I think PJ is going to get 7 and Aaron's going to get 3, 2 to 3. I
think Aaron will get 4, and I think PJ will get.
I like this sentence. I like this sentence. The red dog jumped over the lazy brown fox. That's a good sentence. You can use that if you want.
Guru Amin says over 2 years. He's facing way more than 2 years.
Where did Chris go?
I don't know. He dropped out some. I don't know.
He's disgusted.
He's like, I can't hang around these 3 guys anymore. Fuck it.
PJ is definitely doing more than Aaron, probably by about a third.
Let me read this.
Would it be in the same? Would they go to the same jail place or not?
Here's how they figure out what the sentencing guideline is. Count 4, which they pled guilty to, which is conspiracy to distribute controlled substances.
The
base offense is given a level 20, John, on that. Wow. Then the base offense will be increased by 2, a number of 2, because controlled substances were distributed through mass marketing by means of an interactive computer service. So they were using the internet essentially.
Right.
And then the base offense will be increased by another 2 because the defendant maintained a building or premise for the purpose of distributing these controlled substances. And then because the defendant was an organizer or leader of a criminal activity that involved 5 or more participants, they increase it by 4 levels.
Wow.
And then according
Does it make it bad too if you're selling like those controlled substance in like a product and people take that product and unknowingly know they're taking it? Does that?
Well, they dropped the harm charge. I think they dropped that. That was part of the plea.
If someone gets hurt by that, then
they can be sued civilly though for that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, it multiplies the criminal part of it too.
Right, but you have to prove it. It's pretty hard to prove that they're.
I think I took it that time I got cardiomyopathy. I'm pretty sure I was taking it when I got cardio.
You might have a case, Lee.
I've got the emails.
Lee's got a case.
So they
when Aaron and I,
the total adjusted
Aaron and I
offense
were
level
getting on
would be 26, John. That's what they agreed upon. So it's not going above that.
Well, unless the judge decides he's going to go above that.
Well, no, but
remember
when
Aaron didn't like
more
me?
than 13 years in prison, John. So
I got a question, just hypothetically.
Right.
I'm asking for a friend. Remember when Aaron didn't like me, right?
Yeah, I still think he doesn't like you. I still think he doesn't like you.
With emails, when he didn't like me, let's just say hypothetically someone was sending dick pics and that. Can they trace them back to someone? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yes, Lee, the answer is yes.
Fucking hell, what's my IP? I gotta log out.
13 is the maximum, but
yeah.
You know, and then there's the concurrent and the concurrent and the consecutive aspect of it. They've agreed to run the cases concurrently, which is a blessing. So, 13 and concurrent or consecutive sentences, that's a lot of time. So, you can look at it as if, Aaron gets 5 or 2 or 3. That's as bad as that sounds compared to what it could have been is pretty okay. PJ is going to get fucked.
Well, and it really is. I mean, PJ could have gone and cooperated against Aaron first.
Yep.
So I'm sure
PJ you know what? PJ could have been walking down Broadway twirling a cane right now if he had played his cards right.
Right.
So that's because they fish upstream. So he was way out of. He was not as big a fish as Aaron was.
And you got to remember, John, Rob DiMaggio, who was their partner in Blackstone when they first started it, he cooperated right off the bat. So he's doing 0 time.
Right. And there's the proof of the pudding right there.
Right. So I mean,
it's like what John said. They should have all done that by the sounds of it. They all should have just said, "Hey, you caught us. We're guilty. Let's just get this over and done with." And
they should have hired Rick Collins. And I told them that
they should have made believe they were this big supplement company. They got involved into something they shouldn't have done. Once they realized it was wrong, they stopped. Mea culpa, take us. We're here. We're done. We're sorry. Here's all the money. Here's everything. What do you want to do? But I keep thinking of that fucking mural of them up on the hotel, and I'm thinking they thought they could win this. They thought they could march in there with all the money and the power and the knowledge and win this. And slowly reality set in, and Aaron pulled the Sammy the Bull.
I don't know if that extent, but I keep thinking the Wolf of Wall Street.
He did, John. I mean, he did, Dave. He did. John,
I keep thinking the Wolf of Wall Street. Whenever you saw that movie about Jordan Belfort,
yes,
that's what I keep. That's what I keep seeing in my head. Right?
John and I are on the pulse. We watched Judge Judy. We watched Judge Joe Brown. We've watched all the shows. We know what's happening.
No, we do.
Judge Janine Pinero. We watch her.
Yeah, and
I just watched the Kyle White House case. I know what's going on.
Officer Tatum, don't forget him.
Officer Tatum,
good friend of ours.
Candace Owen, Ben Shapiro. I got my finger on the pulse.
We know what's happening.
I watch Hannity.
Tucker. I like Tucker better than him.
Yeah, Tucker's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I like the other guy. I watch it, Jesse Waters. He's funny.
Jesse Waters, he's throwing on me too. And Gutfield. I like Gutfield. He's
Oh,
funny.
yeah, Gutfield's funny, yeah.
But I don't really watch Fox anymore, really.
No.
I don't.
I like Newsmax. It's pretty good.
Newsman and One American News is really good.
Yeah. But I do, after that case did come down, switching topics, when it did come down not guilty, I must admit I did have to watch CNN to watch them all melt down, Joy Reid and everybody.
It was
beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. But we're not allowed to get political, so we
No.
Yeah, we'll lose our monetization.
Getting back to the case, and it's bothering me because look, it could have happened to any one of us.
No, it really couldn't have.
No.
It could only have
You're a criminal, yes.
It could only have happened to those of us who were making pro hormones.
No, what I'm saying is people get sucked into all the time selling stuff, and they see other people selling it, and they think it's okay. There were a lot of people selling pro hormones. They just weren't as good at selling it as Aaron and PJ were. Really? I mean, isn't that what it amounted to? And when they said stop, and they realized they were not really allowed to do it, they thought they could be a little smarter than
what? But
that's what happened. They changed labels and ingredient stuff. That's where they went wrong.
As far as I'm concerned, all of that is A-OK. As long as Aaron and PJ have a few 55-gallon drums full of cash buried somewhere, and they're going to go find them when this shit is all over. If they don't have
Pablo,
if they don't have buckets of cash somewhere stashed away, then this was all for fucking nothing.
Aaron's got a lot of money.
And it can't happen to anyone, Dave. I had friends that sold drugs, Dave, and I never got into it because I'm always that type of person. My friends can get away with murder. I sometimes thought to myself, shit, they're making good money. I should do that. And I always said, I bet the day I decide to do it, the first person I sell to will be an undercover cop.
Of course. You're smart, but you're
the
smart.
The closest I probably come to getting caught was my friend. I had a really nice Ford Saline convertible, and I gave it to my friend to use for a while. And I was living on Rose Avenue, and he come down to the house one day. He goes, Lee, do you need some shoes? I said, oh, no, I'm pretty good. I got plenty of Atomics here. He goes, they come out to the car. I got lots of shoes. I go out to the trunk of the car, and it's like boxes of Reebok. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, you couldn't fit another box of Reebok shoes in there. I undo it, all full of fucking pot and drugs. I'm like,
oh, no.
I said, you realize this car's still registered in my name. They're going to think you're working for me. I'm like, but what happened was another time later, after he got rid of that, he actually did a bad U-turn somewhere, got the car impounded, and because it was in my name, I had to go down to the station with him to get it out of impound. And he has a fanny pack on. He goes, how much is it? They're like 300 and something. He pulls out the biggest wad of fucking cash I've seen, and he starts counting, and the woman cop's standing there looking at it and looking at him, and he's got this big wad of cash. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going down now.
I don't know. Well, you know what? You're smart. Maybe you're smarter than you look, Lee, because you always stayed out of trouble. You kept your nose out of trouble, and you just
was that a compliment or an
keep your mouth shut. That's your problem.
It's his mouth. It's
your mouth that gets you in trouble.
Not if it came to bad stuff like that. There's plenty of stuff I've done, and I haven't told where the bodies are, Dave.
Chris, I know Chris got somehow removed from the conversation, but we were saying, Chris, how when people start selling, supplements and stuff like that, and they see other people selling stuff that they know they shouldn't be selling, but they're like, well, if they're getting away with it, and you can get easily sucked into that thing. Obviously it was smart. Thank God I started my supplement company after I got out of jail, because prior to that, I might have gotten sucked into the same thing. You never know. You see easy money. How hard is it to sell pro hormone?
It's always hard. It's always hard to turn down easy money.
Yeah.
And it's, in PJ's defense and in Aaron's defense, to a degree in their defense, this is not new, where supplement companies have sold pro hormones or, some type of supplement that was at a minimum a gray area.
Yeah.
But at some point, and that is, of course, the most profitable product because it works the best. And it's when it works the best, the demand is there automatically, but, at some point, most of those people who did those things segued into legit products, or just said, you know what, at some point I got to give it up. I can't be selling these pro hormones because, now I'm legitimizing my business and now things are going good. I think the downfall, though, of course, was continuing to do it, and it's easy to get sucked into the easy money.
If you think about it, I can think of about 4 companies.
Oh, if you can probably, John, if you really gave it a deep thought, you could, not off the top of your head, you'd probably come up with 14 companies.
Probably.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think of. We had a company here. They got done because they were selling creatine, but the creatine had clenbuterol in it.
I heard Medtrix originally had that, right? Is that the old rumor?
But but the idea was, make a little money this way, and then put that into something legit, and then you leave that behind you. Some guys were able to escape and do it, and built big companies out of that shit, and they were able to maintain them. And some of those companies are still around today.
Well, yeah. Look, let's take Rich Gaspari. You work for him. He was selling a lot of those pro hormones and stuff like that. But when they told him you got to stop, he stopped. That's why he didn't get in trouble.
Exactly. And there were a lot of guys that were doing
Patrick
that.
Arnold had made a product called 6-oxo. It was an aromatase inhibitor. Yep. And I had it in my first Testalized product that I ever produced. And people just caught on to it because it worked amazing. It worked like a Arimidex. And I was selling so much of it. And then the government made that ingredient illegal. And Patrick couldn't make it anymore. And I had to stop. And it sucked because, but if the government says don't do something, you don't do it. You don't snub your face.
Yeah, and it comes down to morally too, because when I was with MD making good money, it was hard to give up. And if Steve asked me back and I had to take an E again, maybe I just thought I'd want to throw his name in before the show's over.
I had to put the fake Steve Bleckman in timeout. He was saying racial epithets.
How about actually that Steve did it actually backwards? It was the giant supplement company that was already big, and then he took his share of that and bought a cheap, shitty company.
Well, look at Twin Lab, right? They had Rip Fuel, and then they made ephedra illegal.
Yep.
They couldn't sell it anymore. What was he going to do? He had to stop.
A huge part of their sales too, man.
It probably was millions and millions they were making from that.
Yep. Someone just mentioned those VPX orals. I still what was in those VPX liquid orals, John, back in the day? They were pretty potent.
Oh yeah,
but Jack's pro hormones too.
In defense of Jack and in defense of Lee and Gaspari, that was at a time though that
it was legal.
Well, that's when I used it. It was a definitive gray area, right? Yep. Even the government didn't come down on it. They
the government eventually said no, and that's when they stopped doing it. That's all.
I know that.
It was a simple process. When the government eventually got to whatever decision they were going to make, they sent you a letter. The letter said stop. The people that got the letter and listened to the letter and stopped, they're all fine now. They're all in business.
John,
who did not stop, they're the ones.
You remember, I don't know if you guys remember, GHB was sold in
DNC.
Health food stores.
Remember, you could go into all the stores too and just buy bottles of ephedra. Remember, Max Muscle couldn't keep ephedra on the shelves. Just the ephedra tablets. People went crazy for them.
Dimetadrine. Remember Dimetadrine 25?
Yep.
By AST Research. That was the bestseller, Or Ultimate Orange by Dan DeShane.
I was going to say Ultimate.
John, some people got those letters that said stop, and they said, do they mean now? You mean now?
That's what.
What? Do I have a date?
Can we just? Okay, we will. We will. They would get together and say, in 2 months we will. Illegal. Okay, John. We'll just get 2 more months
illegal. You know what they did?
That went under the counter. I remember going into Max
was
Muscle.
Made illegal, they made the precursor to it, GBL.
GABA, yeah.
And so they were selling the precursor, and then they had to make that illegal. And then they had another precursor.
Remember Rejuve?
Yeah, Rejuvenate.
Yes.
Rejuve.
I remember going in all the Max Muscle stores once those letters come around. People would walk in and go, do you have any? And they'd reach under the counter or go out the back room where they had bottles and tons of the tablets. It's never on the shelves. You had to almost know the code word to go get it from out the back.
Lee, do you remember when you would go to Venice to the firehouse and you would see people like, where they have the outdoor area, people would be like sleeping with their face like at the table because they would pass out from too much GHB. It was like everyone was using it in Venice.
Or you find a girl in a car that's smushed up against a telephone pole. And she's got a syringe in her vein with Nubane in it. And
well, I told you that story. I told you that story about the girl that time when my friend Scott was running the Max Muscle and the girl and you come in and we're just sitting there. It's near closing time. Almost we're in 2 chairs and they just got that new GHB. It's like a real bright blue color. And she goes, let me try some. So she took a lid full and she goes, oh, that tastes terrible. And Scott's like, oh, if you take more, you won't taste any worse. So she took like another 3 or 4.
Oh, my God.
I'm sitting there talking to Scott. And I hear this tweet, 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 tweet. I'm like, what the fuck? She starts pretending she's a fucking bird, tweeting away. And then I'm saying to Scott, what have you done? And she's like, all of a sudden I hear this noise and I look down. She's peeing through her pants, through the chair in the middle of the Max Muscle store. At the same time, these tourists walk in. She's now slumped over on me like Weekend at Bernie's. So I'm trying to hold her up. There's pee on the floor. They're like, are you Lee Priest? Can we get a picture? I'm like, oh. I'm like, Scott, come and hold her or take her in the bathroom. So he gets her in the bathroom. I'm taking a photo. He opens the door. She's spewed everywhere on the floor in the bathroom. I was like, I've got to get her home.
That was a nice bathroom, too.
I was panicking that she was going to end up dead or something. And I'm like, Jesus, get her home. And I was like, oh. And the tourists are like, oh, what's wrong with her? I said, oh, she's just very tired. I mean, she just she went from normal to chirping like a bird to wetting herself to throwing up in the Max Muscle toilet. As I said, it's just like, he's just like limp, like, ugh.
Not good.
And people strive for that.
Yeah.
What a fun time. But so many guys used to take, I never did GHB, I never did the Nubane or anything, but yet I don't know guys would take that to train on, wouldn't they? It'd be like Eugene. Remember Eugene? He was a big one for that Eugene guy in Venice. He used to take a lot of that.
I don't know how guys train on GHB. I understand like Nubane, but I never understood GHB because GHB.
I don't know how you could train on GHB. I don't get that. Right. Recovery afterwards, but
yeah.
I used to go to sleep on that. It was the best. A cat before bed. Oof.
You got a great night's sleep on that stuff too, right? You woke up so refreshed too.
Nothing like that sleep.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. The end of January will be, I think it's January 27th is the sentencing, and then they'll find out. Once they get sentenced, I think they can. I know when I went that you can request like where you want to go. I told PJ he should go to Morgantown, West Virginia, where I was. That was, if he can get in there, it's like you're at summer camp, with just no.
Dave knows people there to get you in.
I don't know him to get him in there, but I do know a corrections officer who's still there. I became friends with him. He used to sneak me hamburgers.
Dave knows the guards. It's like scenes from Green Mile. He's getting extra food.
There's
all I know is, if you want a good Christmas dinner, go to Aaron or PJ's this Christmas, because if they're going away January, it's going to be the best Christmas dinners ever at their place. So.
You want to remember.
Yeah.
And we're probably not invited.
No. But it looks
speak for yourself, John. I'm doing a deal. I'm taking the time for him. So I'm working the deal out.
You imagine you can pay someone to do your time for you?
Well,
people do way to make money for the government, that's for sure, right?
Do you do that there in America? Here in Australia, if you get a speeding ticket or parking ticket, somebody, if it's just done by camera and that, somebody else can take the points and say they were driving your car and take the fine for you?
Well, because they can't prove who's driving. That's why. Probably,
no.
Right. Yeah, when I saw that in Australia, I was planning to move to Australia. When I saw that they have speed cameras that you can't fight the ticket, I said, forget it. I'll never drive again.
Well,
no way.
This is what we'll do. If Aaron gets 3.5 years, I'll take 1.5 years, and Chris can do the other 1.5 years, just so we don't feel left out, because you two have gone and done time. Chris,
we've already done our time. I don't want to do anything.
We're not doing any more.
Chris and I seem too clean cut here. We haven't done any time, Chris. We're just
you got to earn your stripes. You got to break your carry.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
okay, I'll go jaywalk tomorrow. Then I'll show you.
Get it done.
Well, the trick is, you know, when you get something like this happens, hopefully they learn their lesson. You know, I know.
The trick is
When I got in
don't
trouble, I'm like,
break the
I will
law.
never ever be back there ever again. There's no way I'm going back there. So, John took 2 times for him to feel that way, but yeah, he's a slower learner. I was a little older, you know.
He had more friends in there than you, Dave. He wanted to go back.
He met Dan Duchesne in there. He never would have met Dan if it wasn't for that.
That's right.
Hey, there you go. Look at that.
It's got to be meaningful coincidence. I don't believe that was by accident.
It's
Yeah.
got to be.
All right. Well, when's the Spain show coming up, by the way?
Sunday.
Oh, it is Sunday. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Alicante, Spain. It's the last pro show of the year. And then obviously we got Nationals, but that's not a pro show. So actually, no, when's the actually they got the Masters USA too. But the when is that going to be held? I think that's also December, but it's the last open pro show of the year in Alicante. Do you know anyone? Who's doing that, Chris? You got anyone in there?
Amir.
Oh, I think that young 22-year-old kid. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
good, real good, from Germany. Yeah, I think he could qualify for the Olympia there for sure. Absolutely.
Depends on who shows up, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the last show of the year is like could be good or bad, right? I mean, people fatigued, or some people are just waiting for the last show to strike.
Did you hear that Big Ramy? There was like a joke, like someone put out a thing that Big Ramy got married again.
Yeah,
Did you
I
see
saw.
that?
Was it true? I saw a couple of other stations reported that he did because it was in some paper, but then someone said it might have been for the TV show, but then an actual person showed the ceremony pictures and they said it was legit. So, and they said that his first wife didn't know that he was getting married again. So it's hard to know if it's for some TV show or movie or whatever.
Is that like a big deal in Egypt that the ex-wife is going to be blown away by the fact that you're getting married again?
Well, it's not the ex-wife, John.
It's
It's
the
the
current.
real wife. It's the first wife. You know,
Oh, so he's going to have 2 wives.
that's according to
God.
the. Yeah.
Well, you know,
God.
some people.
I'd rather go to jail.
people
I'd go to jail.
You know,
Give me life. That would be like life. Jesus. You're talking about Aaron and PJ going to jail for 5 years. You got 2 wives.
2
Jesus
wives.
Christ, that's
kill me now.
Oh. I hope you can. Whoever, hey, the Olympia's going to be wide open next year with 2 wives. Your prep sucks. It's going to be ruined.
Actually, it might be a great prep. By the time you're done with those 2, you'll be shredded. He's wrung out.
Mentally, you're going to be.
I saw Lee. You sent me. I think you sent me that article. Did you send me the article about the decision the IOC, the Olympic Committee, made in Australia about
on the transgender?
transgender? They basically said any man or male who decides that they identify as a woman can compete in women's sports now. That's the new law.
Yeah.
Here I come.
And I mean, talk about destroying women's sports. I mean, they got to be the dumbest motherfuckers of all time, I mean, to make that ruling. I mean, what's going on with this world?
Don't rain on my new careers, please.
Seriously, what is wrong with our society? I mean, they're afraid to offend everyone, even fucking insane people who think that they're going to, try to cheat the women's system and destroy women's sports. It's crazy. It really is.
Because they allow this shit to happen. They tolerate people with 47 pronouns and 12 genders, and they tolerate this shit. They make allotments for them. They make them feel special. Instead of when I was a kid, if you came up with that, you get the shit beat out of you, and then the next day you show up, you do it again, you get the shit beat out of you again, until one day you realize, oh, I'm done getting the shit beat out of me. I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm a boy and leave it at that.
No, you can if you're a boy and you want to be a girl, fine, but you're not competing in women's sports. Sorry. I mean, what the
you
fuck?
You say that now, Dave, but when I come on next week with the women's shot put record, you'll be promoting it, I know. You'll be like, when Leanne Priest comes on next week and I hold the record in shot put long jump.
the litmus test is when you go to high school and you support it until your like daughter's in the javelin and she gets beaten the state championship by like half an inch and they say who
By me.
you know,
Chris,
yeah.
look at your son. Okay, your
All
son
of a
is
sudden,
like,
you're so tolerant anymore.
Chris's son is like almost the state champion in the triple jump. Can you imagine if he decided, Dad,
In the triple jump, he is state champion.
I'm going
Long
to
jump second. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. But I'm saying, imagine if your son decided he's going to be a woman and compete with the women. He'd be the Olympic champion, probably.
When at one college over there, the women are trying to sue because so many girls now have already lost scholarships because these boys who are saying they're girls have actually taken their spots.
See, that's where I find it egregious. So if it was Chris's daughter instead of his son that was the jump, right? And then some guy comes in and she's going to go get a college scholarship. She's got her whole path paved for her. And then here comes this dude with
here comes Chris's son who wants to be a girl now, and he takes the scholarship away.
Right, and then now no scholarship, because this dude came along, and 5 o'clock shadow and took your freaking scholarship.
We live in an absolutely insane world. I don't know. I can't even believe the decisions that are being made out there. It's nuts. It's nuts. All right, I got to wrap this up because it's getting late. I got to wake up in the morning. So.
You got to go to bed first. I got to wake up in the morning.
Like the rest of us should just stay
back
up.
in the day, I'm up all night. Who cares? I got kids now. I got to wake up and drive them to school in the morning.
Weak.
I don't want to forget where I'm going in the morning. I'll get scolded by my wife.
Well, it's always good now to tell your son, Dave, if he is doing sports and he's not too good at it, just point to the girls' team and go, "Hey, psst."
You can always go over there.
You can kill them all. You can kill them all.
I think it's a heinous thing.
Terrible.
I was watching. My kid was playing soccer this weekend. I was watching the girls play on another field, and I'm like, wow, these girls are really good. And then I'm thinking, can you imagine if there was two guys on the other side that were really men, and they decided to be women? They would be destroying these women, and it would ruin the whole.
Everything. It's ridiculous. It's the most stupidest thing in the entire.
You want to be a woman and you're a man? That's fine. You can't play women's sports. It's a simple rule. It doesn't take any logic to figure that out.
There's trade-offs. There's trade-offs.
Yeah.
You want this? You can't have that. I mean, this is the way it is.
No, you could still play soccer. Just play with the girls. Play with the boys. Rather.
You get the whole team of freaks you can play with.
Yeah. No, I'm saying just because you want to be a girl doesn't mean you have to play with the girls. You can still play with the boys,
And or if you could find enough of your kind, you can make your own team.
Right.
Say what you can say what you want, Dave. You're not going to rain on my parade. You're not.
Yeah,
Leela Priest is coming back with the shot.
Maybe Sean Ray will turn into a woman and say, "I want to be a woman commentator now." I know you fired me as a male commentator, but I'm going to be a woman commentator.
Well, if he started identifying as a woman, we could forgive a lot of these things.
Do you know? Speaking of that, John, here's an actual fact. I did a study on this. True fact that most archaeologists are women because if anyone can dig up the fucking past, it's fucking women. But if you look it up, it's true.
They're very good. They're very good detectives. I agree. Very good detectives.
You're welcome.
As we say every week with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
And I'm pregnant too, I want you to know.